We are.
Yeah.
So, we're live on what though? I don't know if we're live on Instagram yet.
I have no idea.
So guys, so there's this new thing apparently. Now YouTube has live shorts, and I've set this whole thing up so I'm live on every platform now. I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, TikTok, and where else? And Rumble. I did not even know I had a Rumble account. Apparently I do now. So guys, this is what I do every day. Normally I just do it on Instagram, but a bunch of stuff comes to my office, I unbox it, I have no idea what's in here, I pull it out, I show it to you, end of live. But this time we're actually going to take some questions as well from all these different funny platforms that we're on right now. I'm going to start with, what do I start? I'll start with this big Rolex box, because usually big Rolex boxes have, big socks, no, big Rolexes. The survey says, oh, it's a Platinum Daytona. And how much more can I talk about the Platinum Daytona, with the exception of the fact that these things are no longer $200,000 and actually have become quite affordable. That's why we're selling a lot of them, because they're still trading around that. Now they're trading around that list price, slightly over. And again, one of those things that is discontinued, right? I wouldn't say it's a short run. It's a fairly long run, but the fact that it isn't platinum, they didn't make many of them, right? So if you look at steel versus gold or versus platinum, you're not going to get a lot of these made. So collectors always asking me, is this worth a pickup? My answer is usually yes. My answer is usually actually buy what you like first and foremost, right? That's what you always hear me say. But sometimes I will say that yes, it's worth the pickup. Please keep in mind I am biased. What I love most about this watch, and by the way, when it first came out, I was like, the whole brown bezel thing, I wasn't really that big a fan, and then it grew on me. But what I like mostly about the watch, honestly, is its weight. A lot of the Rolexes out there, even the gold ones, you don't get that weight. Maybe it's because I'm used to wearing big clunky offshores and Audemars and gold Audemars and things of that nature. I really, really like the weight on this without the size. Usually to get the weight, to get this weight, you're also going to get a size like the pounder from Audemars Piguet, for example, or
People are saying that the mic volume is kind of low.
mic volume is low.
Is that like the mic itself?
I don't know. How does that work?
No idea.
It might be, maybe it's like picking up from down there. Maybe it's not plugged in all the way.
Better? Oh no, is it better? Somebody respond. Testing 1, 2. How's the sound? Anyone?
Waiting for the comments, I suppose.
Let's try that again. All right, so that's Rolex Platinum Daytona. Let's move on. Put the condom back on. And my favorite boxes, green boxes, which means it's Audemars Piguet boxes, my favorite brand. And, oh look, that's another one. Now, you guys see me on boxes all day, every day, whether it's a 15300, 400, 500, 510, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This happens to be the newer one, but the non-anniversary. Again, once these are still trading over lists, these are still hard to get, or I should say impossible to get. You still have to buy something else. And at the peak of the market, we got to a point where it actually made sense to buy whatever it is that they make you buy alongside with whichever Royal Oak you want to get. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should probably see the watch, right? At the peak of the market, it got to a point where it kind of actually made sense to buy any additional pieces that you want to buy in order to get the Royal Oak that you want, right? And then slowly but surely, you know, the whole argument was, okay, so the watch is on the market, let's say at 2x its retail value, right? And you have to buy this alongside with it, which you're going to sell, and let's say take a certain hit, so therefore your cost is going to come out to be X. Today, these have come down to a point where it doesn't make sense to play the AD game, because they're going to give you a watch on which you're going to lose 30 to 40%, let's say, along with a watch that maybe trades at 1.5x its value, right? So mathematically, it kind of no longer makes sense. So you have to really do the math. Now, I know there are people out there that would still prefer to have that history with their AD. There are people out there that still prefer to have the history with the boutique. Yeah, they don't care. So do the math and figure out how much, at the end of the day, is this going to cost you while it's on your wrist, and whether or not what you're being sold alongside with it is something you're going to wear or something you're going to sell. If it's something that's going to sell, make sure you do the math. Now, I'm a fan of the code 1159. That's usually what you get alongside one of these, right? But some people are not, and they go to sell it, and they get disappointed to say, well, wait a minute, I could have just bought this on a secondary, wouldn't have to wait 9 months, and it would be cheaper. What's the matter, Ian? Nice socks. Ian with the socks, though. So now we have another green box. Usually when you get a, oddly, is something wrong with the volume there? Can you check this? What about if I do this? Is this better now? If I do it like this? It's going to be a little awkward for me to hold this.
Can you just clip it?
I can clip it, but is this better? Guys, somebody respond, please, so I can continue. And not that I ever lose my chain of thought, but
Avi, is that better?
is that?
Yeah, it's better.
Yep.
So it must be this.
Is it better?
So this needs to go in the trash.
No, seriously, that's a little...
I am going to do this now, and hopefully that would be better.
Okay.
Yes. Whenever you get an odd-shaped box from Audemars Piguet, odds are it's what? Anyone?
Something special.
Yes, a limited edition. Thank you, Nina. You've been paying attention for the last 646 unboxings you've done with me. And this is the Royal Oak Offshore Limited Edition LeBron James. Probably one of my favorite ones, simply due to the fact that aesthetically, this thing is a knockout. Never mind that you get the beautiful box with his signature. Now, he didn't actually hand sign all of these, obviously, but it's still a cool factor, right? And you know me, I'm a stickler on packaging, and I always say, you know, give me a box that I'd be proud to display on my desk. Like, this is something I would display on my desk. This is cool.
Do you guys ship to Malaysia?
We hand carry to Malaysia. In fact, the kid that's behind the phone there, we're going to put him on a plane tomorrow and deliver you a watch.
Sure.
Anyway, listen, we can ship anywhere in the world. Obviously, there are implications in terms of taxations and so on and so forth in certain countries. You figure out how that works, and we'll gladly ship to Malaysia. Now back to LeBron James. LeBron James, limited edition. Now, this was Audemars Piguet's test to introduce new colors. If you notice, the colors are predominantly gray to include the bezel. You have this high polish here, which seems to look like any other regular thing, but look at the lugs. Not the lugs, I'm sorry. Look at the chronograph housings, right? You have, these are actually rubber pieces in there, right? It's the little attention to details that Audemars Piguet likes to do. And as soon as I find my glasses, so I can actually see those details, because apparently I'm getting blinder and blinder in my old age. But it's the little details that Audemars Piguet is really, really known for. And they did a tremendous job. First of all, the strap. The perforated rubber strap, the way the strap is built, it's made to be a sports watch. Because what do? You usually sweat. Now, I don't know if anybody would play basketball in this clunker, LeBron James included. I highly doubt it. It's a heavy watch. But at the same token, it's this little attention to detail that make Audemars Piguet stand out. You look at the chronograph pushers, and then you have little diamonds here. You have a little bling, right? It's there, right? It makes a point, but it's not too flashy. Still keep it in line with this being a true sports model, i.e. the Royal Oak Offshore. Now, these things have been pretty steady in terms of price, and I'll tell you why. They've been hovering around that $70,000 price range forever, through the highs, through the lows of the market. And the reason for that is because not a lot of people sell these. Most people that buy these, they just keep them, right? And this is a perfect example of Audemars bringing together two worlds, the world of basketball. King James, arguably the best basketball player in the world, right? Some say LeBron, some say Michael Jordan. I'm not going to get into that argument because that's not what this is about. But when you're able to bring in two worlds, which is what I spoke about yesterday when I went live about the 𝗙𝗰𝗲 collab between Kith and 𝗙𝗰𝗲, the new Formula One watches, or the new old Formula One watches, because that's what they used to look like back in '86. But you bring two worlds together, what happens is a crossover. And what I mean by crossover is that there are people out there, believe it or not, that are very, very much into basketball but could care less about watches. And there are also people out there that are very much into watches but could care less about basketball, right? Which, I mean, everybody cares about basketball, I would imagine, right? But certainly care a lot about LeBron James, him being one of the greatest players in the world. So when you get that little bit of crossover, you tend to bring new clients into new worlds. With the 𝗙𝗰𝗲 combination was more, I guess, relevant to what I'm saying, because you had people from the watch world coming into the world of Kith, and people from the world of Kith coming back into the watch world, the world of 𝗙𝗃𝗃, and you have Formula One behind all that thing. But ambassadors are effective. Ambassadors are effective because people want to be like Mike, or LeBron in this case, right? And that's really what it comes down. I want to be like Mike, right? Why did Air Jordans sell so well? Because me as a little kid, at 5'2" and 75 pounds, I thought I could jump higher if I had on Jordans. I didn't. Or maybe I did. I don't know. But everybody wants to be like Mike. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go to a Harry Winston.
People want to know what the prices are. Can you just tell them what the deal is?
So when I get these watches in, I have no idea what we paid for them, what kind of service they may or may not need. So price fluctuates. I know that these trade around $70,000. But what usually happens is my salespeople kill me when I start quoting prices on this, because we'll get a watch in and I'll say, well, this watch is $15,000, and we find out it needs $4,000 worth of service, right? So I tend not to quote prices on these things, but
Prices to follow.
Prices to follow, but that's been historically trading at about 70 grand. But call Nina, she'll make you a deal.
Gotcha.
Harry Winston. Harry Winston. You think of Harry Winston, what are you thinking? You're thinking jewelry. You're thinking beautiful necklaces, big emerald rings for $4 gajillion, right? Princesses and kings. I think watches because Harry Winston, contrary to what people may or may not think, if you're not familiar with Harry Winston, makes beautiful watches, aesthetically gorgeous watches. I actually know what this is because I bought this. And what we have here, oh, it even comes with 2 straps and 2 buckles. Look at that. No, 3 straps. Wow. Big bonus on this one. But what this is the Harry Winston's Rose Gold Dual Time. Oh, that's because this is a deployant and that's a tang. Somebody spent extra money on a deployant buckle. This normally comes on a tang. Now look at this watch. Never mind the dirty strap, but look at the watch and tell me that's not gorgeous. You know what? I knew I brought a cloth for a reason. Whoever wore this, they were not very nice to their watches. See, that's what I mean. Like, this thing is going to go to service. It's going to need full cosmetic overhaul, but it looks in the condition of this thing. You probably will need some mechanical overhauls as well, or not. Harry Winston's watch is actually pretty nice. Now, what Harry Winston, to me, is most famous for, obviously, their Opus series that started a long time ago with a gentleman by the name of Max Buser, now my favorite independent company. Max was only there for 5 years, then he moved on, but they continued making and designing beautiful watches. And this Dual Time is no exception. Look at the watch. Look at the way the moon is displayed. Look at the way the date is displayed. Look at all the wheels. Look at whoever designed this. Look at the depth, right? There's a real depth to it. It feels like this is like literally floating in midair because of the backdrop kind of thing. The white background really gives it depth, makes the blue pop, makes the 2 time zones pop. Just everything about this watch is just aesthetically beautiful. Now, Harry Winston is not shy about their prices. This thing retails for probably around 60 grand. But on the secondary, they suffered the fate of being able to be picked up at a deal. You can probably pick one of these up around 20 grand, which is not bad for a third of its price. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Harry Winston is a huge name. And aesthetically, if you're not that familiar with them, go look at their lineup. Go look at some of the pieces that they make because, you know, people always tell me, oh, it's a Harry Winston, it's this. But you know what I found? Most people, myself included, the first thing you notice is the aesthetics of something. If you're somebody that's there to go for a name, you know, it must be a Rolex, it must be an AP, it must be this, perhaps this isn't for you. But for the most part, watch being, besides a wonderful little horological machine, an accessory, if you will, right? Or fashion statement in some sense, I look at aesthetics. But I also look at horology, I also look at resale value because I'm in the business of buying and selling watches. This is an Omega that, with something extra, obviously. Something extra, gotta be something extra in there. What is going on in here? Okay, got some extra straps, got some paperwork. I'm gonna guess the watch is in here, or at least I hope the watch is in here. So I guess the people that make these beautiful, and I wish, I mean, technology is not theirs. I wish you could feel this leather. Like, here, Nina, you feel the leather. How nice is that? That's nice.
Wow.
That's really nice leather. I guess the people that make them, I actually never knew this. I just noticed this pamphlet in here. I guess I never paid attention to before is, so, no, never mind. This may have been the original dealer where they bought the watch. Let's see. I know that leather is made in France. And this says Hereby we guarantee the correct function of the watch. Okay, I guess this is a letter that you get from a dealer when you buy an Omega from them. I mean, for us, it just kind of goes without saying. I wonder who did make that case, because it's really, really nice. Either case.
All's well.
Well, guess what? It just became cheaper. Omega Speedmaster. Omega Speedmaster. Could be a Swatch collab from afar.
It could.
It could be, right? But it does come with a bunch of extra little straps, which were inside there. And how much more can I tell you guys about Omega Speedmaster that I haven't told you the last 646 times? Not much. So yes, Omega Speedmaster, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of these brands have gone to more of an eco-conscious packaging, which I am all for eco-conscious. In fact, you saw, there's a video coming out on YouTube about our trip to a school in the Bronx where we donated 4,000 metal trays to their lunchroom. Of course, the number one reasoning behind it was having children eat healthier, because the minute you eat out of plastic, all that plastic, and you put hot food on plastic, it makes it into your food, which is very, very unhealthy, could lead to a lot of terrible things. The second thing, obviously, was the fact that it makes it more eco-friendly, because plastic trays get thrown out to the tune of millions every single month, and helps the planet. Omega, Breitling, a few other brands, they also went the eco-conscious route by making smaller boxes. I disagree with that, because nobody throws these out. So if I'm going to spend 10 grand on a watch, give me a nice box. This is bullshit. But I am all for saving the earth. Next, we have a brand I recently visited in Geneva and has sit down with the CEO about the future of the brand. There's a video coming on that. And what this is the Ulysse Nardin Sonata. A lot of people look at this watch and they say, what the hell does that do, right? One of the things that Ulysse Nardin is famous for, I'm not going to go through all the functions and click all the buttons right now because A, I don't have that kind of time, and B, I just don't want to. But I will just tell you about it, right? Ulysse Nardin has always managed to make things easy. Just if you go to their dual time watch, right? Their executive dual time, the plus minus GMT as they call them, right? You know, to change the times is simply a plus button and a minus button. You go back and forth and you can change your time zone. Now, what this is an alarm watch, but it's unlike any other alarm watches. Most alarm watches out there, what do? They work off of a 12-hour thing. So let's say, oh, I got to take out the trash in 6 hours. You set your alarm and you watch buzzes, right? And note I say buzzes, all right? This is called a Sonata. So this thing actually chimes. Not only does it only chime, it also has a 24-hour alarm, and it also has a repeating alarm, which means if I wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and I want to set this alarm and I want it to ring every single day at 6 a.m., it will do that for me. Also has, most alarms don't have an AM. I should have probably put it right side up when I said all that, right? Most alarms won't have a AM PM function. This one does, in the form of a countdown. This is what Ulysse Nardin does when it comes to their watches, their innovation. They don't, how should I put this? They don't take any shortcuts. They don't oblige to standard, right? Because this is by far not your standard alarm. If you get a chance to read about this specific alarm, just Google Ulysse Nardin Sonata. They made many variations of it. And you'll find out that this is probably one of the most kick-ass alarms that's out there. They almost overdid it, like they were almost extra with it. But when it comes to watches, there's no such thing as extra, because every little additional functionality that you put into a watch requires horological marvels. And when this thing first came out, originally back in the day, it came out in, I believe, was it yellow gold first? Or rose gold? I don't remember, don't quote me. Right? And they made many variations of it. Once they developed the Excalibur to be able to do all those things, wonderful things that I talked about, and then went on to make editions. These were one of the later editions. I'm trying to remember if this was a limited one or not. I don't think so. Anyway, but it is the Sonata Cathedral, which means when the alarm goes off, you actually hear cathedral gongs, where most alarm watches, you'll hear this annoying this buzzing. But then again, an alarm is supposed to be annoying, if you think about it. But this is probably one of the best alarm watches made out there. And again, the fate of this is that one too many were produced, and yes, the retail prices are high, but on the secondary, you tend to get this watch very, very inexpensive for what it is. It's one of those watches, if you're specifically looking for an alarm complication, if this is something that's missing from your collection, because I know a lot of my guys, they tend to collect based on complications, like they want a tourbillon, they want a minute repeater, they want a dual time watch, they want a chronograph, blah, 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 blah. And that's how, if you're going to look for an alarm, when people ask me which alarm I should get, I go to Ulysse Nardin Sonata. Speaking of eco-friendly packaging, is there even anything in here? Because this is a travel box for Jordan. And by the way, if you're going to go eco-friendly, go to something like this. Like that's a very eco-friendly box, right? This is just a travel box. Or usually what these boxes are is the way a dealer will receive their watches. They'll receive the boxes separately. But that's a very eco-friendly box. I guess you could say this one as well. Looks like it's recycled paper. Or maybe they just made it look that way. And we do have an FP Journe in here. Oh, it's the 𝗿𝗿𝗄𝗃. Now, you guys know the story with 𝗿𝗿𝗄𝗃. You set it down. It's the only quartz watch that when you set it down, it will actually, and you shake it, it goes back to the time it's supposed to be, and it starts working. I guess the last time this, well, let's see.
I love when it goes back.
It's supposed to go back once you shake it.
Maybe it was
But-
just being used.
Oh, never mind. Alex was just using this watch, I remember. But the idea behind the 𝗿𝗿𝗄𝗃 is that this is a fact from FP Journe that when you buy this watch, and a lot of these have been sold from Journe already, not a single one has been back for a battery change. They're saying that this battery is supposed to last somewhere around 27 years because the watch will go into sleep mode the minute that it feels it's not being used, and it will go back to the time it actually is once you do use it. So the reason it's not showing the incorrect time is because it's set incorrectly. If I set this watch to the right time, set it down, it'll stop moving. I'll come back an hour later, shake it, and you'll see it like physically go back. This is the time the watch is set to now. It sucks when I should have, well, but then if I would have set the time earlier, then I wouldn't have done that, nor did I know that watch is in there.
Sure.
So anyway, there goes that presentation. I tried to make people go, wow. But I think it's my sunny personality usually that makes them say, wow. Yeah. All right, one more. And what's behind door number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? I don't know, but we will find out. Uh-oh. See, I know this is a Panay, and I can already tell you this box is going to be in complete shit, which means that goes back to my pet peeve of terrible, 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 terrible packaging. I sound like what's his name now, Charles Barkley. You see all this black stuff? That comes off of this. So what happens after a while, this stuff starts to flake. It starts to, the minute there's any moisture in the air, but mostly where it comes from is this. This was the worst single thing that Panay has ever done. It feels like this watch was flooded. No, it wasn't flooded. It just sat there for a little bit of time, right? And what ends up happening is this ends up happening. It starts to flake. It goes all over the box. And now, effectively, you have a watch with no box. But, nevertheless, you just, see? Look at my hands. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous. This is the 1,000-meter submersible that comes, somebody put it on a diver strap too, which is really, really cool. So we call this one the La Bamba. And the reason for that is because it's literally La Bamba, like a bomb, right? It's very, very thick. And it has to be this thick, and the case has to be, oh my God, this is terrible. The case has to be this thick for one simple reason. If you're going to make a watch that's what do you call it? That is water resistant up to 1,000 meters. Think about that. How many feet is that? Young people.
There's three feet and a meter in a yard. I don't know.
See, I'm making that faces to make them doubt themselves. It is about 3,000 feet. It's roughly about times 3. But wow, that college education is taking you places, I got to tell you. But anyway, so for me personally, this is from the old school of submersibles at a time where these things were uber collectible, and having only 1,000 of these bases still is very collectible to any Panaristi out there, which is why I bought the watch. The strap that it's on now is not very practical. This is the more practical strap to wear on a daily basis. What this is the actual diver strap that can go over a diver's suit, and that's why it's that big, right? So like if you want to,
Wow.
see what I mean?
On your ankle.
Right. But I like the little details. I love the buckle on this one, right? And I love the fact that this is something that's going to be easy to adjust inside water. Now, a lot of people think, oh, all these divers watches, all these gimmicky watches that they make for whatever else, they're not. They actually design them to work, which means you can take this watch, you can dive down 1,000 meters if anybody's ever want to do that. I don't think. I don't even know what the record is for actual human to go down. But the bottom line is you actually can, and these watches were actually water tested at 1,000 meters. And when they made this strap, they actually made it so it's easy to adjust while you are inside the water, right, over a diving suit, because a diving suit obviously adds to the size of your wrist, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, it's a cool watch to wear with the strap if you have a wrist that's big enough. I'm one of those people that doesn't. That's why the buckle, if I wear it, actually, if I wear it, will be literally damn near on the side of my wrist, and I can slap somebody with the rest of it. But this strap is the one I would wear the watch on. And one thing to note, and this is not, like, this is a pretty big watch. Still seems fairly reasonable on my wrist. The minute you put it on this strap, it's even more visible, because these little rib things here, they sort of add real estate to the sides of your wrist, allowing you to get away with a watch this big. And this thing is heavy. And the reason it's heavy because the case is heavy, because again, you can go 1,000 meters under, and you get a cool little tool to change out the straps.
Someone asked, what is the water resistant rating?
1,000 meters. Not paying attention?
No.
All right.
Just tuned in.
All right, guys. So, for those of you guys just tuning in, I just finished my unboxing, but I will answer a few questions before I go back to work. So, shoot. I guess we can throw them up on the screen. And that box has seen better days. Wait, I need my glasses for this.
Shout out from the 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗏. We'll see you in London.
Shout out from the 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗏. We'll see you in London. Yes, we'll see you in London. I actually am thinking about, so Spencer from BQ Watches alongside with Paul Thorpe, my dear friend, they're doing a show in June. I'm supposed to travel to Germany in June, and maybe I'll combine the two trips and make it out to that show. What else we got? 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗆𝗍𝗆. I love that one. Update on next Gray Market episode. Actually, Cameron just finished editing it. That is an awkward angle of me. Can you come here? So when I'm looking at myself, I don't look so awkward?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, much better. Well, come, walk with me. Hey, Cameron. When are we launching the next Gray Market episode? Anyone? At all? Avi? Wednesday, as usual. So there you have it. Wednesday, there'll be a new Gray Market episode. There's some drama in that one, by the way. What else we got? What is the best Rolex for women? So, Alessia, my wife actually wears men's Rolexes. The smallest Rolex that she has is a 36 millimeter Datejust blue dial, diamond indexes, and she loves that one. She also has a Daytona. She also has a President in a 41 millimeter, believe it or not. And I think she also has a 41 millimeter Datejust. But at the end of the day, it's one you like. There's what Nina is wearing, right, which is a true ladies Rolex. Yep, no, there it is. That's a 28 millimeter, but that's her vibe, right? Your vibe may be a bigger watch, but buy what you like, first and foremost, within the means you can afford. Next question. Can I come buy some watches? Sure. I don't know where you've been the last few years, but this is what we do. We sell watches, so please come and buy some watches.
Can't wait to see you.
What's your thoughts on the Christopher Ward in-house moving skeleton watch? Don't have enough experience with Christopher Ward to give you an opinion, and I'll be the first to tell you when I don't know something. And believe it or not, as much as I know a lot about things, I don't know anything about that. So, but I will read up on it and I'll let you know.
Which looks better aesthetically regardless of the metal, Hulk or Smurf?
Ooh. Smurf. What else we got? What are you wearing on your wrist? I am wearing the Zenith 0G full crystal. They made 10 of these, and it is a beautiful, beautiful and skeletonized 0G from Defy Extreme line of Zenith. What else you got?
Do you prefer the new stamp dials on the code 11.59 or the lacquer dials?
Lacquer dials, to be fair. Lacquer dials always, even though they're pretty consistent and seemingly are the same, they can have variations, and there's just something about lacquer dials versus stamp dials that sings to me. What else we got? Best recession-proof watches. Well, you know what? I never even looked at it that way. I mean, Rolex is always going to be the best recession-proof watch. Specific Audemars Patek is also a very good recession watch. Oddly enough, when we're talking about recession, it's a loaded questions because what do you keep or what do you buy, right? So, and it also depends on the price range you're playing with. Like I remember after the '08 crisis, not me, but other dealers that were much bigger than me because I didn't have that kind of money back then were buying up all complicated Pateks, all the minute repeaters, all the tourbillons, ones that they made a lot less of. Something that is normally stupid high and you can find a deal on it, that's what you really go for. That can go just same for Rolexes. So certain Rolexes that were trading at $30,000 that are not trading at 15, probably a good bet, regardless of what they are. What else?
Someone said, I'm from the Netherlands. How can I contact you by watch?
You can go to our website. You can submit an inquiry via the website. You can DM any one of our sales staff, and they will gladly respond to you. What do you think of Roger Dubuis watches, especially Excalibur collection? I'm a fan of Roger Dubuis watches. I was in Geneva and I saw some of their newer stuff, them going back to their roots. Specifically, the central monotourbillon that they made was insane. They were on this carbon car Lamborghini racing thing kick for a little bit. I think that they did it a bit too long. They should have did it only for about a year and stopped. Now they're kind of going back to their roots, to the Excalibur collection specifically. You get, you know, they're most famous for their double tourbillons, obviously. But the Excalibur collection, the Excalibur collection that I saw in Geneva, I was fairly impressed. They just need to tone it down to a non-double tourbillon or single tourbillon to where they have a line that's actually affordable. Would love to see a steel Excalibur line from them, just a plain automatic. These guys are pretty amazing in making dials with the beautiful Roger Dubuis dial, but also would love to see them go back to their roots and go back to some of the homage pieces they used to make, some of the retrograde stuff that they were so famous for before they got bought over, their retrograde perpetuals, their retrograde annuals, the Sympathy collection with the funky crystal, right? Love to see some of that come back, much like Daniel Roth just did by bringing back the original Daniel Roth tourbillon in its original form. Next, who is your favorite watch YouTuber? That's a loaded question. I have a lot of friends on YouTube, but I'm going to stay out of the watch space, to be fair, and I'm going to say it's a toss-up between Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat. Mr. Beast too. He's cool. He just does crazy shit. What else? What do you think of new models of Rolex? Are they good investment? Watches are not an investment. They're an expensive toy, which you should buy to enjoy first and foremost. But if you're considering the fact that some of the new Rolex models, now if you can get your hands on the yellow gold Le Mans, then yes, but good luck with that. But historically, because the bulk of the release was gold, historically, over time, over more than the last 3 years, but over 20 years, historically, gold Rolexes hold value less than those of stainless steel pieces. But I don't have actually I do have a crystal ball, it's back there. Next is, what are your opinions of the new Cartier trend? Do you think the crash is worth the premium? Absolutely, I think the crash is worth the premium. And the Cartier trend is not new. It's just very, very quiet. Cartier collectors are some of the quietest low-key collectors out there, which kind of goes with their personality, kind of go with the watches. If you look at some of the most collectible Cartier watches, they're just tiny little things that you can't really tell apart. There's a tank out there you can buy for $5,000, and a similar looking tank can be $150,000 because it's rare, right? So it kind of goes with the product. So Cartier has been collectible for as long as I've been in the business. Anything from Cartier collection privé is uber collectible, which is why you saw seemingly another Santos come out in Geneva with just different colors, and the price was $38,000. You're wondering why? Because those things will be snatched up by those collectors and held long term, and a lot of the Cartier collectors tend not to sell their stuff, which is why it's very hard to get your hands on things like the Cartier crash or some of the other collectible tanks, if you will. Thoughts on Zenith being the next bring brand? I'm assuming you meant the right big brand. The Defies are hot, the skeletons are awesome. Zenith is going to be Zenith. Zenith has been even key for years, right? Hey, Adrian, how are you?
You still doing unboxing?
This is a live, and it's a new thing. It's like a short live unboxing or something. I don't know.
I woke up, you just started.
Anyway.
Breakfast, you were still doing
Yeah, you see, the reason Adrian is asking is because Adrian needs to take all these watches. Actually, you can take them, Adrian. I'm done. Adrian. Zenith. Zenith has always been that even key brand, right? It was never a brand that traded over lists. It was just another brand, right, that traded even key. Primary, secondary, it hasn't really changed. As of late, their new DeFi skeleton stuff has been jumping off the shelves. In fact, if anybody has any for sale, I'll gladly buy them because they do really, really well on a secondary, obviously discounted. Now, even something like this, right? So this retails for $160,000 is going to go online under 100 grand. Why? Because it's Zenith, and this is the resale value for pretty much every single brand out there. It's always been like this. You guys need to forget what happened during COVID. Live with the fact that the current market is what the current market is, and it's going back to how it used to be. Most brands in the likes of Zenith or any other brand from that group is going to sell at a discount on the secondary. I think they're good deals. I think they're well-made watches, but the next big brand, no. There's no such thing, the next big brand. You have to look at watches, right, across certain brands. Because there's plenty of APs out there to discount. There's plenty of Patek's out there. In fact, most Patek's discount. Most APs discount. It's just certain few key models across all brands that won't. Next question. Most expensive watch at Luxury Bazaar. Nina reaching. Right behind the microphone. No. Most expensive Luxury Bazaar at the moment, today, it would be a 3700 Nautilus, yellow gold with a Kanjar logo, one of 6 in the world made. That watch is about, last one fetched 1.250 at Sotheby's or Christie's, I don't remember which auction, so a little over $1 million. And after that, we have a few $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 pieces. Next, what is your opinion on Breitling Super Oceans? I have no opinion on Breitling Super Oceans. They're a cool watch. They're a nice alternative to an Omega and a Rolex, and buying used. Next.
Do you think the Cartier Rewind models are gimmicky? Would you prefer the lacquer Santos Dumont?
Again, sucker for lacquer, so probably go with the lacquer Santos Dumont. Can I finance a watch? Yes, you can stop by here once a week and drop off $20. I mean, no. I think we use, Alex, what do we use? There's a thing online, it's called 𝗙 where you can apply for financing, or you can just use a credit card, one way or the other. What's a brand that makes a better box than a watch? No such thing. Watches are obviously still better. I can give you brands that make badass boxes, starting with MB&F. Let's see, I'm trying to think of who else's boxes do I really like. I like MB&F because the boxes are very creative ones that, again, you would want to display on your desk. Audemars Piguet makes some cool boxes when they're limited editions. Rolex, no. Patek, no. Very plain for the most part. Trying to think who else. Omega. So Omega, a lot of the Omega Speedies, you know, those big boxes that have the 2 straps on top. They're not actually straps, it just opens up. But they have inside another little box which comes out and becomes a travel case. Travel case. It becomes a travel case, which is actually very, very convenient. 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗄𝗏 makes the most gorgeous boxes, from the decorations on the outside to all the accessories that you get on the inside. And again, a lot of the brands, the higher the watch is in price, the cooler the box you're going to get. So it can go across many brands. If you could only wear one watch for the rest of your life, which would it be? Wow, that's such an original question. It's only a question I get asked 1,000,000 times. The problem with that is like, do you go really badass like a 𝗙 𝗿𝗄𝗏𝗯, which is super expensive and complicated, or do you go for something that's comfortable, right? It's a very tough question to ask. I mean, if I had to guess, if this is something I have to wear all day, every day, I'm going for comfort. I'm going to go with the 5402 ST, the original Royal Oak from 1972. Because 𝗙 𝗿𝗄𝗏𝗯 is not very comfortable. No more questions?
Someone said, are the Hublot's in-house and Zenith movements solid watches?
So a lot of controversy about Hublot. It really depends on which route that you go. When you say solid watches, I'm assuming you mean that they're reliable. And yes, they're both going to be reliable. These high-end pieces that they make, they are reliable watches. Depends on how you wear them, depends on what happens. They may or may not break. For the most part, 99 out of 100 watches that you're going to buy will not need service in the recommended time slot that any manufacturer is going to give you. They're going to keep on ticking for many, many, many years. I think I'm going to cut this off here because I have to go back to work. So Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And I don't know, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. What else? I think that Instagram.
X.
Oh, Twitter, X. So all of you guys that have tuned in on all these different platforms, this is a little weird. I'm used to speaking on stage, just not so many stages. Not that I care. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next unboxing. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.